Yo, yo, yo. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this week's Office Hours. Woohoo! We have a packed agenda this week and a lot of interesting things to cover. Looking forward to it. So I say we just jump right in. As usual, I see a couple new names in among us. So if this is your first time joining Office Hours, this is our weekly community touch point where we just cover recent announcements, cool projects, anything that people want to showcase. So if you're working on a cool project that you want to share, definitely reach out to us and you can be part of our next Office Hours. If you are here and if you want to ask any questions, we currently have push to talk enabled for non-speakers. So if you want to speak up, either use push to talk or you can use our Slido where you can post any question and we'll be monitoring this. So feel free to post any question you want at any time and we will be monitoring it and answering them. So the way that we usually structure Office Hours high level, and this will probably change in the coming weeks, but currently is we have a first section which is around some showcases, and then we have a second section which is more, people breaking out, talking about. We have two breakout rooms usually, which are around Cadence and FCL and SDKs, so mainly developer channels, and we stay in the main room to talk about just community highlights. So yeah. Last thing probably worth mentioning is if you are not on Discord and you're watching this anywhere else and you want to be part of the cool kids discussing and asking questions and just chatting, then join us on Discord, discord.gg/flow, and see you here. All right, cool. Something we also usually do is we introduce the team. This is a non-exhaustive list, but just some of the members that you'll find both in Office Hours as well as around the Discord. We definitely have to update it as our team is growing. Cool. So we have the dev avocados, Kim, Bruno, myself, the community managers, Carol and Trey, Cadence, smart contract engineers, Josh, Bastian, and Satyam. We have the Flow Client Library /FCL and SDKs engineers, Greg, Chase, Max, Gregor, and Yanez. We have the DevX team working on all the beautiful documentation and tools like the Playground, and who are Srinjoy, Mac, Pete, Morton, and Alex. We have solutions engineering, Albert. So if you're interested in partnering with Flow, reach out to Albert, and marketing, David. So if you also want to join the team, we have several open positions, one of which is full stack engineer for the developer experience team. So if you're passionate about, making the developer experience as seamless and as beautiful as possible and as ergonomic as possible, then this is the role for you, and we'd love to talk to you. So reach out and talk to us. All right. So what do we have today? We have a demo from Flovatar that Luca will be walking us through. And then we have a showcase by iaNFT by Matt Hichana. And looking forward to that. Pretty interesting use case. And then we have Bastian going over some of the breaking changes with Cadence. For those of you who don't know, Cadence is the smart contract programming language that is native to Flow. And we are nearing the V1 stable release. So that's going to require a couple breaking changes, and Bastian will walk us through them. So with that said, we will start things off with Flovatar. Luca, do you want to take it over?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. And thanks for having me. And let me share my screen so that I can show you a little bit what is Flovatar all about. So for those that don't know Flovatar, it started as a new take on PFP, but it obviously grew to become so much more than that. It's become now like a proper platform where people can empower. We want to empower people's creativity to build new NFTs with however they like, and with the combination they like, and how they see them more close to them, and how they see themselves more attached to it. So instead of people are randomized the combination like many other projects, what we do is that allow you to choose exactly every trait however you want it. And then you will be able to mint it and block that combination that will be unique and will be always yours. And then we have many other things related to the Flovatar that are the flow beats, that are these accessories that you can wear, you can equip, and you can swap them anytime. We have more common one, but then we have also legendary ones like the Krampus mask that has its own story. And people are super engaged with the creativity of Flovatar. And the nice thing is that we will bring it further to a whole different dimension. We introduced last Sunday the 3D model. So it loads, we created a 3D model from every trait from any combination that you have, and you will be able to download the high quality 3D model, 3D printed at home, and then the next steps will be included in metaverses, in video games, and all kinds of places. So this is really our main differentiator, but then obviously we will have whole world that we're building. One, it's the story world that we will start introducing, and then the big announcement that we made also last Sunday during the AMA was the Dust token that we will introduce more or less around the end of Q3. And with Dust token, we really aim to open the Flovatar world to the bigger audience, more people, and allow them to spend the Dust token, especially to create new NFTs, just like you see it in the builder, but instead of using Spark and Booster like you do now, you will have a price in Dust, and you will be able to mint those new NFTs, and then have the 3D models attached to it, and have all the other benefits. You will be able to stake it, and so many more things. So I really recommend you to have a read through the article where we outline also the big vision where we see ourselves in 3-10 years from now, and how the distribution works. So depending if your Flovatar is a higher rarity or less rare, you will have a different amount of dust every day that you can collect, that you can spend in making NFTs, giving a name to your Flovatar, downloading the 3D models, and many more things. But in this office hours, I wanted to go in more details about something that I think could be also of inspiration to other projects. And I think we should try and explore more in general within crypto project and in the Flow blockchain especially. And it's about this prank that we prepared for one of our community members. It's Wild Turkey. And the story about this prank comes from a long time ago. We have this great community member, Wild Turkey, that has this a little bit creepy clown that since the very beginning, he really started bugging us. Like, I would really like to have a red balloon to complete my character. It would be really nice if I could have a red balloon. And he kept asking, and every AMA, every activity we did, he jumped in. Oh, have you seen my red balloon? And obviously, it started becoming a big deal in in the Flovatar world. He started making like Flovatar news, and he added comics, making pranks on me that I wasn't giving him the red balloon. So we decided to fight back in this game and have something that could be memorable and that would be just beyond just making the simple NFT that he could wear and it's a red balloon and he knows he receives it and he's happy. So what we did is we created a special Flowbit. And we, with an excuse of calling a town hall meeting, we grouped up all the community and we announced to everyone that we finally managed to make a balloon because Wild Turkey was asking it so much. But the prank was that we ran out of red ink color, so we had to make it blue. And of course, you can imagine how puzzled he was and how conflicted he was because, okay, yes, he was receiving a gift. I sent him the blue balloon as an NFT to his wallet. And of course, being he so polite, he said, oh, thank you, you pulled a prank on me. And obviously, inside, he wanted to die, probably, because he was so close to getting his red balloon. But it was blue. And then when he actually equipped the blue balloon on his own Flovatar, he doesn't have this mouth, but he has this specific mouth, that it's an epic mouth, that it's animated. And because he has this specific trait of the mouth, the blue balloon detects somehow that the original Flovatar holding the Flowbit has this particular trait, and it changed his behavior to become, from blue, becomes red. And this applies only to the Flovatars that have this very specific mouth trait. To all the other Flovatars, they will keep seeing it blue, and only him or the few others, the 28 others that have this particular trait, will make it become red. So you can imagine his surprise, and while equipping it, I say, "What happened? It was blue, and now it became red." And I didn't touch his computer; he was doing it on his computer in his wallet. So I couldn't hack into his computer or doing such a thing. So the surprise comes from the fact that one NFT can change its behavior by being associated and combined with another. And the beauty of all this is that it doesn't need or require any extra JavaScript or to be happening specifically on the Flovatar.com website. Because, for example, if you see the same NFT on another website like flov.dev or any other website where you can see the Flovatar NFT, this same effect will apply because it's contained within the SVG image as a code, and the full SVG image is stored on chain. So the actual prank, the actual animation, and the interactivity part is fully on chain and contained within the SVG. And this makes it really powerful because you can create polymorphic NFTs that can change depending on the surrounding, on the context, and who is holding it and when. And it gives them much more depth and also treasure hunting feeling, because we might release new ones that we won't announce what is connecting it to what, and people will be surprised to find that eventually in that combination, even a common flow bit might become something super special and unexpected. So yeah, this is one more example where I think it would be interesting to explore even more the SVG connected to the crypto world and storing it fully on chain, because it has so many benefits besides being fully on chain and being guaranteed to exist forever as long as the blockchain lives. But then also having this flexibility over images that also are not static because they are animated. As you can see, the balloon can move. We can make it interactive like basketball that you can click and it jumps. So it offers a whole different depth to the visual of the NFT, and it makes it become so much more interactive, and it gamifies the NFT, I think, a lot. And we're just scraping the surface, really. These are just proof of concepts, and we are working on creating many more, and that basically all the new epic and legendary flow bits are aimed to be this complex and even more. And we want really to redefine what an NFT can be. And yeah, we're super excited to keep exploring and to keep experimenting and to welcome new suggestions or things that we can make and that we can combine and and see what an NFT can become. Because I think it can be so much more than just a simple image. And yeah, I don't want to take too much time from the other talks, and I don't know if you want to make any questions, or if I should talk a bit more, just let me know.
I don't know if you were following the chat, Luca, but the chat was going wild throughout your presentation. So everyone is super impressed. We were just silent, but very impressed. And we do have a lot of questions, but before we get to the questions on the Slido, I want to leave room for anyone who wants to jump in via voice. All right, then maybe we can pull up the Slido questions and cover them. So the first question is probably the most important one: is what is the story behind the Krampus mask?
Yeah, the Krampus mask, we released it during the holiday pack, just after soon after the Genesis drop sale, to say thank you to the community. And Alex, one of our whales, really liked it particularly, and he started collecting basically all of them from the marketplace. And he actually now owns like 9 out of 10 Krampus mask, and we have just one that remained in the project because it was a giveaway, was an airdrop, but one of the 10 wasn't delivered because the user either didn't have the wallet for some reason it was not delivered, so it remained in the project, and we will probably put it in a museum or something. But now Alex has a whole army of Krampus mask Flovatars that he can use, and these are the things that we're gonna like a lot to include into our story world, into the narrative that we still didn't talk about at all. But this will be a situation where like a Krampus mask army will come in and will suddenly do something. So there are histories behind every flow bits that become popular based on the character. And this is a nice part of Flovatar as well.
That's awesome. How like the community story influences the whole lore, a bit like Dungeons and Dragons. It's awesome.
Exactly.
Cool. So we have a lot of questions. So maybe for this one, you can keep it super short. Why choose the name Dust for your token?
Yeah, Dust comes from Stardust. So, and we had the idea that with a little bit of stardust, you can create magic. So to shorten it, we went for dust, but the origin comes from stardust. Yeah.
Awesome.
And also we will explain it more in the narrative and the story that we're building.
Cool. Here's a little bit more of a challenging one. Isn't it a waste of space and resources to store the same images and traits on each NFT?
We store for each Flovatar, we store separately the SVG for the combination. And I think it's important because within that NFT that it's the most valuable, you have the full image. For the flow bits and the traits, we don't copy the SVG all the time. We just store it once in the template. There is a separate resource called the Flovatar template, and there is one copy of the SVG on chain for every flow bit. And then if we have 1,000 copies of that single flow bit, it references the original template, but it doesn't copy it all over again. So yeah, we try to optimize that thing as well.
Awesome. And maybe this leads well to the second question, which is, what are your thoughts on composability? And it would be amazing to see flow projects really innovate, but maybe we need a community initiative to help take this off. I mean, you kind of, I'll let you answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. For us, we're pushing really hard in composability within Flovatar, as you can see. So creating combinations and different things like the backgrounds with the basketball, etc. But then we want to bring it even further by allowing composability from projects to projects. So we can have like a Flovatar within a metaverse that can do certain things within a context. So you gamify also that part. And also in the article, we said we want to become the Lego plus Disney of Web3, in the sense that the Lego, because we want to create the bricks, the building blocks, and then people, by putting their creativity, by creating this composing and putting together the pieces, is what makes the difference and what really can make everything get a special feeling, that magic feeling. Our job is really to make these building blocks as good as possible and as composable as possible to really empower and make people express their creativity at their highest potential.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add that the composability is really a generic term, but the foundations for it are already here. It's just a matter of how they're being used, right? And you just explained some cool examples, but I think it's up to everyone to make use of it and to explore different ways to compose on top of each other and to kind of turn this into an interconnected web of cool experiences.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you mind just briefly going a little bit? You already touched on it by when you were talking about flow bits and how they're stored in their own resource and then referenced. But do you mind maybe covering a little bit on how the on-chain logic is set up to make the dynamic NFTs possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, actually, maybe the easiest is just to open the code really to show a little bit how we are composing. Because you see here, this is the image of for example, the flow bit of the blue balloon, and you will see here. Well, obviously, there is some code that detects other traits within the Flovatar, and by detecting them, it can apply then other rules that change its behavior. And what we can do is it's pretty simple. The composability part is really simple because SVG being a text, we really have to chain the different components, the different flow bits. So this is the background flow bit. If it's there, we just add it first. Then we add the SVG from the Flovatar. Then we add the eyeglasses. Then we add the hat. Then we add the accessory on top. So you are actually layering things one after the other just by concatenating a string. And that is for me the most powerful thing. You can't do this with JPEG. or a PNG easily. But with SVG, just concatenating the string and then adding like a wrapper, you open and close the SVG tag. And just by putting the text one after the other, you have this ability to create layering as if you were in Photoshop. And this is really what becomes gives the power to Flovatar and everything. Then, of course, there are the main function. It's the create Flovatar one, where you pass on the Spark, the boosters that you want to use, and then all the traits and how you want exactly to make your Flovatar. And of course, it makes a lot of checks if it belongs to the same category and if you have enough boosters and all kinds of things. And if everything is all right, it then creates the Flovatar and it burns in the process the Spark and the boosters that you passed as a parameter. And you will get back the Flovatar in return. And we apply also the royalties within the NFT. So you will have the 1% royalties always attached to your address and will be applied to all the marketplaces. Hopefully, they will follow that rule. And I could dive more even deeper, but I don't know if we have time. And
no, this is super awesome. Unfortunately, we don't have time, but I would love to dive deeper. Maybe one piece of homework for everyone is to go through the Flovatar contracts, because I'm sure there's a lot of things to learn there. And maybe we can have a dedicated session around, for example, composability in Flovatar, given that we want to start having more technical focused content, in its own little time box versus having to fit everything into office hours. This would be a perfect thing to talk about, right? We can have an hour where we kind of go through the Flovatar contract and discuss like what best practices you found, what things people can take inspiration from.
Absolutely.
And given that you were also saying, hey, why don't more people do something like this with the dynamic NFTs? Well, that would be a perfect opportunity to kind of showcase how it's done in more detail.
Absolutely. I will show all the code that BRTech helped me build as well, because he's always helping.
He is the foundation of the whole Flow ecosystem.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Lucas, so much for walking us through this. It was really awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. So next up, Matt, do you want to take over the screen and talk to us about iaNFT?
Hi there. 1 second. Okay, be coming up now. Okay, is that working?
Yep, perfectly.
Cool. Okay, so thanks for letting me chat today. This is my slides here, and I guess I'll start from this second part. I'm Hai Channa from our Discord community, and I'm working on something called iaNFT, and it's all about interactive artwork, and specifically on how you can make artwork for NFTs that can be kind of co-created with other people permissionlessly. So I've done full stack and web and Cadence work for some Flow brands, and I've even contributed to some Flow features in the playground that some of you might have seen. And so about iaNFT is like a tentative name that I'm using, but what it's about is representing on-chain artwork as data structures. And with that, you get some on-chain compositing, and you get what I hope to do with this is to have us kind of do this kind of cross-pollination of NFT projects without permission. And you can do this kind of this permissionless co-creation of artwork because of this modality of like defining or representing art as data structures on Flow. And that's all thanks to Cadence, of course, and the resource-oriented programming model of Cadence. So if you could imagine like a project like I just made this up, Lofi Cats, and then another project dogs, and they have no obvious connection between the two. But because Lofi Cats or project dogs define their NFT and design their NFT in such a way that would allow anyone to use the composability strengths of Cadence and Flow to kind of co-create this artwork, then you can imagine like a new project coming about called Lofi Dogs, and that just uses like resources from one or more Flow projects to make something totally new, something, you know, a new use case, new project like that. So like I said, this is about representing on-chain artwork as data structures. And there's already a lot of really great patterns, like Luca just talked about, that really like let us do all this composability and this kind of on-chain compositing and all this amazing stuff. And with iaNFT, what I'm focused on is kind of like I said, this co-creation. So like, let's say you wanted to let others contribute to your artwork, some project who you don't even know, who might not even exist yet. And one pattern is to encode artwork as an image. As a base64 string, for example. You can still do compositing, but to let others really contribute to that, you have to trust them, because when you're letting somebody put a string on there, it might be anything and poorly formed or some malicious content or something like that. And for off-chain artwork, again, you'd want to really trust who's doing that. You wouldn't want to just open up your NFT to just anyone to put anything on there because, or your database or your IPFS pin, because again, it could be anything. Here's an example of a pattern using iaNFT. So we have, like I was saying, we have the on-chain artwork, which is a data structure in which you can think of as an analog to artwork. And we have on-chain compositing. And because we're using a data structure and Cadence, we have guardrails for the creation of the artwork. So you can make sure that the artwork that you're creating is not an unstructured string. It's very structured. It's a data structure, and we can use preconditions to make sure it's formed correctly. So imagine I have a project called Loot Bag, and what it is it's a collection. It's an NFT, but it can house other NFTs, and this artwork can be composed on-chain dynamically as other NFTs get checked into it. So let's say there's another project called Monsters, and you own this loot bag, and you go to Monsters and you buy a Monsters NFT. The Monsters project could say, "Great, you bought a Monsters NFT. Do you want to add it to your loot bag?" And when they do that, they could ahead of time. They could have already defined this artwork, and they could have already defined that. And then when you're checking in your NFT here, that artwork can be added without Lootbag ever even really needing to know about it. Like, it's because Lootbag designed this NFT so that other projects could contribute, add layers to this artwork, that Monsters doesn't need to talk to Lootbag. They can just say, "Great, here's the NFT, here's the structure," and I add a layer. And you could do other things too. You could, read the metadata. You could paint. You could calculate the price and have that show up. Display the names and the serial numbers. So that's one example of a pattern using iaNFT in this data structure modality of creating layers and co-creating art. So already there's a number of awesome interactive and collaborative projects on Flow that are really inspiring. We just saw one with Flovatar, and there's painting, and the Fabricant has a UI where you can co-create using these materials, and Goats as layering as well, and the Matrix is going to be a whole new, I think, amazing world of these programmable objects that I'm looking forward to. But again, just thinking in terms of this kind of funky concept that I have of iaNFT, despite a lot of the current patterns, if you wanted to have people contribute to this artwork and add layers permissionlessly, then let's imagine we have another NFT here, this little devil NFT. And if you stake it, you want it to be able to update that art dynamically. And so if you have this pattern of trustless and permissionless collaboration, you can do that because, again, you're working with data structures that are tightly managed and safe. And you can have it so when you stake this text updates, and then you have some simple artwork that comes here. Right now it's limited to very simple artwork, which I've done, but it seems to work. So that's mostly what I wanted to talk about. And I'm going to do a little demo. This is a proof of concept app that I built, and I call it Color Nouns. And some of you have probably heard of the Nouns DAO on the Ethereum blockchain, and their artwork is all open source. It's public domain. So I just use that and I built this. And what it is I'm taking all of the Nouns artwork, and this NFT you see here, I ran a script before spinning this up, and it minted 40 NFTs and put them in my wallet. And then the 41st it minted, and it composited this artwork on chain. And this is exactly what you would see on a noun composited artwork. And these layers, I think there's like 5 layers, but it's been composited on chain using iaNFT. And we have some metadata here, and I'm going to buy this guy, and there we go. So I just bought this one, and when I click see the next color noun, this one, or actually after I just bought it, this next one, number 42, was just composited online and minted, minted and available for sale. And so yeah, and then if I go here, let's see. So here's the one that I just bought, and this artwork that we're looking at here, it's like this data structure that represents this artwork that is shown here. And so if I go here, so you can do some other fun stuff too using this pattern. So like, let's say I want to change this artwork's color. I can actually change it, and if I want it, this is just a very rough proof of concept. So it's like, I don't know what exactly corresponds to what here, but if I like pink and black, they go together, I can do that. And I can process a transaction, and it's going to send those hex values to my NFT. And now I just memorialize that on chain, and the artwork actually just updated on chain on the actual NFT. And I can download this and save it, and I can change colors infinitely and then memorialize that with another transaction on the NFT. So that's one fun thing we can do with it. And then down here, this is kind of just imagine this is a whole new website. This is onflow.org, and I take my NFT and everybody going to onflow.org gets an NFT. They can buy it, or if it's a giveaway or something, and you can stamp it right on top of your iaNFT. So I can do that here, and I approve that transaction, and there it is. And I just stamped it. And this is now a new layer here, which was just composited on chain. And I could burn that layer. I could reorder them. There's a lot of fun stuff I think we can do with this. And yeah, so that's my proof of concept and iaNFT. I hope we can talk about this in the project's collab channel in Flow, in the Flow Discord. I'm looking for people, anybody who wants to help build the iaNFT pattern and possibly into a Flow standard of some kind in the future. Anybody who wants to work on a real NFT project that will use this looking for people with various skills. And also anybody who can introduce me to new or existing projects who would be interested in this or just want to talk about interactivity with NFTs. I'm going to kind of write up a more detailed report about this stuff and share it and see if people are interested. So yeah, that's what I have to share. I think I talked for almost 10 minutes and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Matt. That was awesome. Anyone have any questions they want to ask? So one question we have on Slido is, I was not familiar with iaNFT. Does that concept come from ETH or the Ethereum world, or is this like a completely new thing?
No, this is a completely new thing. I mean, the nouns project, they do on-chain compositing, I believe, and they do some like super compression of the assets to make it work on Ethereum. But on-chain compositing and on-chain data is nothing new to just that. It's all over on different blockchains. So yeah, this is just something. It started off as me trying to build like this kind of layering of these artwork assets, and just playing around, and being kind of stupid and just keep going and going. And then I found out like, oh, we can make it so we're using these data structures, and the strength of the data structure allows us to modify this artwork and do this compositing. And I think a lot of new use cases and things we can do with it are going to happen, I hope.
Do you mind also talking a little bit more about these data structures? For example, like how are they defined, and are they stored in the contract? Like, what's the life cycle of these data structures essentially?
Well, they could be in many places. They're going to be, they're best defined outside of, like, you can have like the metadata standard, for example. This is actually how the pattern that I hope to adopt, which I've actually already started building and used for the proof of concept. But you have some contract like metadata views, you have something that offers these resources, and then you can then use them in an NFT that you mint, and those resources can be like structs, for example, and you can do really cool things too. Actually, this is one thing I plan to do, which is hosting kind of these on-chain public libraries of artwork assets, and that's all. It's all just Cadence. It's just all data structures in Cadence.
Power of Cadence.
Yeah, it's like I don't really want to work on any other any other
I think there's some connection issues, but I assume you said language or protocol. Cool. So people are asking,
Sorry,
how can we? Yeah, now I can.
All right, sorry. There we go.
Yeah, so maybe you can talk a little bit about how people can get involved. I know you sent a link to the Discord. Do you mind also sharing that link in the office hours chat so people can jump in?
Yeah, let me see. Let me grab this here. This is we can chat about. I'm going to do a post later in Projects Collab about iaNFT, and then this Discord here, I'm posting it in office hours, is where, like, the NFT project using iaNFT, and also some talk about iaNFT, and it'll kind of mix, I guess, at first will happen. But you're welcome to join me there. nobody's there yet except me. But I'd love to talk to some people.
That's where you're wrong. I think we already have
It's
6
full of
people
people
joining.
now.
Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
it's full of people now. So
8 people, 9 people. Okay,
Well,
10
people
people. Wow.
probably
Okay.
recently just registered on .find.
Awesome.
that's the
Okay,
way to
cool.
go, man. That's the way to go.
All right. Damn, I wish these office hours were like 2 hours. But if you have any other comments for Matt, then definitely check out the Discord and stay tuned for his post in the Project Collab channel. And unfortunately, we're gonna have to move on. But thanks so much for sharing this awesome project, and looking
Cool.
forward to having you back as it develops.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Matt. Awesome. All right, cool. Now we're going to cover some breaking changes with Cadence. Bastian, do you want to take over?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Bastian. I'm part of the Flow team. I'm working on Cadence, and I'm here to tell you about the next exciting release of Cadence. It's called Secure Cadence. And the big announcement here is that we will allow permissionless deployment in the next upcoming Spork in June. And this is the first step towards the next big release of Cadence called Stable Cadence. The goal there is to make it sort of complete. We don't want to make more breaking changes, but we also want to make Cadence awesome. We learned a lot of lessons since the initial release, and we want to make some last breaking changes that will make the language much better. And it's much easier to do that when there are still just 1,000 contracts compared to sort of like the future that we envision, where there are tens or hundreds of thousands of contracts that need to be updated. So we're going to make the first set of breaking changes of stable cadence in the upcoming Spork. And there is an important deadline. It's beginning of June. It will be deployed to testnet, and then a week later, this release will also go to mainnet. So if you have any contracts on mainnet and testnet, it's highly likely that they will need to be updated. The changes themselves could be relatively small. Often they're just maybe a line of code. However, many contracts are affected. So if you have a contract on mainnet, how will that work? So once the Spork is done, we will enable permissionless updates immediately. So if you have a contract, you are free to update it. You don't need any permission from the Flow team. And then shortly after, a couple days, couple weeks later, we will also enable deployment of new contracts for everyone. So if you have currently contracts on testnet, it's probably exciting to be able to deploy them to mainnet finally. So as for the breaking changes, you can find all of that information in the forum post. Please have a look. It was announced in the developer updates channel. I will put the link to the announcement into the chat as well. There you can find all the information, all the breaking changes, what changed and why, how you can update the code. In addition, we also developed a tool that you can use to analyze your contracts and transactions and scripts. It will tell you exactly where and what needs to change. There's some places in your code that we can't find with that tool, so please read through the announcement, look through the changes, and think about sort of how they affect your code. And then we have published a new emulator build, new CLI release. Install it and run your tests and make sure that everything works with the emulator. Once everything works with the emulator, you should be good to go to be able to test it on testnet once the Secure Cadence release gets deployed in the Spork. Please let us know if you have any questions or any issues or problems in the forum or here on Discord. And thank you so much for your patience and being part of the Flow ecosystem.
Thanks, Bastian.
That's all I had.
Thanks. And yeah, Bjartek is very right in the chat saying that you are very, very modest. You really are one of the greats. So thanks for tuning in and talking to us about the upcoming changes. And I also want to flag that the overflow package that Bjartek maintains also has a way to test for the breaking changes. So if you use overflow, you can leverage it to test your breaking changes as well. Cool. All right. I don't see any questions in the Slido. Are there any? Maybe this is a good time to kind of. I know we only have 10 minutes left, but this is a good time to break into the breakout rooms. So if anyone does have questions around, the breaking changes, upcoming secure cadence, and upcoming stable cadence, this would be the time to kind of jump into the cadence breakout room so that Bastian and the team can kind of just focus on that. If you have any FCL or SDK related questions, you can go to that breakout room. And yeah, in this room, we would like to discuss community highlights. One of the highlights that we wanted to cover is actually Bjartek's Fine project. So Bjartek, did you want to talk a little bit about what's been happening over the last 24 hours and how Find is making it possible?
Yeah, I guess I can. So, what happened yesterday afternoon was that somebody called Carol asked us if we could help you run a charity auction. And we thought, well, we have done that before, so we can do it for you. So we just do what we do and work a little bit in the off hours, and so we made this charity auction for Flovatar and May the 4th to support NAMI, so National Alliance of Mental Illness. So yeah, not real. Oh, I see that Piero has upped his offers now, so the current auction is now at 2,000 flow.
The auction is heating up. It's only 5 hours left. So if you want to get this limited edition lightsaber, May the Flow Be With You Flovatar, you need to beat Piero. Or if you really love the Flovatar, but you want to just donate directly to Nami, then you can do so a little bit further down. And you can choose to donate FUSD or Flow, and you will be inserted in the Hall of Fame or the Wall of Fame. I don't remember what it's called, below where everyone else also donated.
Yeah, it's called the Wall of Fame right now.
Wall of Fame. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was the annoying person who contacted the Fine team to make this happen. And both Christian and Bjartek has been amazing. But I really want to highlight that they built a really great system. And I don't know, hopefully I'm thinking that maybe one day that this will be a feature available to the whole community.
Yeah, so we are working hard on version 2 of Find, and we will tell you more about that in an upcoming office hours. But we had an internal demo just earlier today. So for those who didn't know, we actually hired Bam. I'm not sure Bam is here now, but he's on the Emerald City DAO. So we hired him to help us out, and so that just shows if you do the Emerald City Academy, you can actually land a job from doing that. So for anybody who wants inspiration, it can really change your faith if you try to learn new things. We also hired a front-end dev who's awesome. He's not so much part of the Flow ecosystem yet, but I guess he will be. So we are hard at work on making version 2 of Find. And yes, it will make it possible to do these kinds of things. So the auctions and the charity things a lot easier for everybody. And a lot more. I have spoiled about this previously, so
Thank you for actually truly being part of every single Flow project at this point.
No, not everything, but I have to try to limit myself. But yeah.
Yes, and fantastic point on the Emerald Academy. So if you are interested in learning Cadence and you want a little bit more of an interactive kind of way to learn with other people and have live instructors who can help you, then head on over to academy.ecdao.org and sign up for the bootcamp that's currently ongoing. So it started May 2nd, but it's both self-service with 2 live workshops per week. And as Bjartek said, Bam, who is now working as a smart contract engineer for the Fine project, was the student of the first bootcamp and has now become a super important community member in the Emerald DAO. So yeah, absolutely agree with everything you said, Bjartek, and looking forward for you to be hiring a lot more smart contract engineers across all of your projects.
Oh yes, if things goes that it seems they will go, we are definitely gonna hire more people. So let's just hope that the plans go as we hope they will. I see Louis is writing. He's heavily involved in that. So the block system that I mentioned earlier is also something we helped the Rooms project with. So it actually also shows something that will be available to anybody soon if they want to. So you will be able to mint and drop as a self-service, basically using Fine version 2. That is scheduled for this summer. So hopefully we can help more projects out if they need it.
Awesome. Yeah. So you know who to reach out to if you need help with anything with your project. And yeah, looking forward to Find 2.0, and whenever you're ready, let us know, and you can showcase it in one of the office hours.
Yeah, we'd just like to be actually a little bit more done than we are now, I guess. We waited to release Find last autumn or fall, some say, because we wanted it to be ready before we launched. And we're doing the same thing now. We want it to be perfect, kind of the MVP we have, like UX-wise and the experience for the user before we launch. So, but we're working hard on it every day now. So it's approaching soon. But I don't like to promise a date because I don't like to overpromise. I like to over-deliver.
Over-deliver, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that clearly is a word that is associated with your name. And I totally agree that it's worth spending the time to polish things. I feel like, I'm not talking about Flow, I'm talking about in general, the Web3 space really could use a bit more polish, right? And Flow, a lot of the Flow projects are kind of best in class at this. And so, yeah, I think we should keep that standard really high because I haven't seen the same standards elsewhere. Awesome. Cool. Then, Carol, any last things that we want to shout out before we close?
No, just make sure you go and donate, or at least like and share. This is a great project, and it was a really fun activation with Flovatar. Thank you again for everyone for bringing this, making this happen so last minute. But yeah, really proud of our ecosystem. I love reading the wall. Lots of really nice, encouraging messages in there for Mental Health Awareness Week. So yeah, awesome. Just wanted to highlight that. Oh yeah, secrets, guys. The sleeping giant is waking up. I hope you guys have some of you figured out some of the secrets yet. I've noticed some good speculation out there. But keep an eye out for next week. We have a lot of major announcements, so we're not kidding. So tidal wave incoming, actually.
Make sure you keep the secrets, though.
Definitely don't tell anyone at all across all of your channels.
All right, well...
You do like to tease, you know. By the way, Ashley, if you are listening, is Ashley listening? No, she's not.
But
I just saw the message in the Wall of Fame. Somebody, I believe, lost somebody to mental illness. So
No, Ashley.
But this is all being recorded, so your message will be maybe watched later. Yeah. Well, on that not so great note, but this is definitely something that if anyone has, just make sure that you go to this charity auction and contribute what you can. It's for a really good cause. And on that note, I will wish everyone a great rest of the week. See you in our next office hours. And have a great time. Bye.
Thanks for showing up all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.